A horror story, Something Is Not Right, is brought to you by trippleistories.com. It's too good to be true, said John to himself as good food and tropical fruit juices were already served at the table in front of him. The mere sight of it, its arrangement and splendid presentation was enough to make his mouth watering. It was like being in a king's banquet. "Make yourself at home," said the beautiful young lady before she left the room. Somewhere at the back of John's mind told him that something wasn't right, but he did not give it a bother after a second thought. After all, he had survived the vast boundless desert where no one he believed would have escaped, and then found absolute comfort in the best treatment he had ever received in his lifetime, and met the most friendliest people in the world. He was on his journey to explore the legendary tomb back then, and his jeep broke down in the middle of the desert. He hopped off to find a nearby highway or town so that he could get somebody to help. What made matters worse was that John lost track of his original location, as his map got blown away by a sudden sandstorm. He walked aimlessly non-stop for days and nights. When he was about to die of dehydration, he finally discerned a town in the distance that summoned his strength to go further. A beautiful young lady came towards him and greeted him with the most loveliest smile. She claimed that it had been many years since a traveler came to this town, and she was sure that the town's people were willing to give John the best hospitality the town could possibly offer. John was even offered a huge mansion with everything brand new to stay for absolutely free of charge. Everybody he met in town were smiling at him, and a few moments after he had finished his grand feast, he was happy to find himself a king-sized bed where he could have a nice sleep. But however, much to the contrary, he wasn't able to sleep that night. His back was incredibly itchy. Then he heard something. "Something's not right, not right, not right." A mysterious echo came out of nowhere and startled him like hell. John switched on the lights and wandered from corridor to corridor. The lights began to flicker. In that instant, the brand new walls disappeared and were replaced by old, tattered ones with most of its paint peeled off, exposing its raw brick skin and rusty metal ribs. Some of the words were written in red. "Something is not right." The strokes were made as if it was written in pure blood. John rubbed his eyes. The lights stopped flickering and everything turned back to normal. It must be some sort of hallucination or mirage effect, as they called it, being caused by some long, tormentous experience in a boundless desert. John decided to go outside. The lights in the streets were on. Although everything seemed normal, he couldn't help the feeling that someone was watching him. A few flashes of lightning occurred, and in that instant, the walls, the billboards, and the signposts were all written with the same bloody red words. "Something is not right." Then he felt a weird wiggling feeling in his throat. John coughed a few times, and a few maggots fell from his mouth down to the ground. As he saw those maggots still wriggling, alive and well, rolling in his saliva, he became extremely uneasy and vomited, and more maggots came out in an avalanche. "Something isn't right." That was not his voice, but a whisper, hurried by an icy breeze. John turned his head and saw a young, beautiful lady dressed in white. She had a familiar figure, familiar hairstyle, familiar voice, a familiar, lovely smile, but had no eyes. Everything around him changed shape. This town became a ghost town, with derelict houses comprised of bug-infested wood, rusty twisted metal structures, and crumbling walls, and the streets were filled with dead bodies.
"Can't you even tell, Mr. Traveler?"
Giggling as she spoke, she began to drift slowly towards him as if she did not have legs. John had no choice but to run for his life. Every dead body he ran past, his head turned towards John's direction with his sinister glowing eyes. Then John could not move any longer, but not because of the fatigue or of the sickness at the time, but also a hand that came out of nowhere and caught his right foot, a hand decayed beyond recognition. That's the end of the story. Please feel free to upload your stories to my website and get free reviews.